In this episode, we will discuss Drake, his new album, Views from the Sixth, the prisoner hand symbol, the be seeing you hand symbol, where you put it over your right eye, and obviously a lot of these people are calling it a devil symbol, a devil worship symbol that only Kabbalists, that only occultists use. The fact of the matter is, the first time I ever saw this, and possibly the first time it was ever put on film or tape or recorded, and if someone can find an older version, please let me know, but it was popularized in the TV show called The Prisoner, starring Patrick McGoohan. Written by Patrick McGoohan, created by Patrick McGoohan. This show is more than a spy show. It's more than a futuristic show. It's more than meets the eye. You have to watch every one of these episodes multiple times to even get a glimpse of the genius that was Patrick McGoohan. He was ahead of his time. The show featured many things that didn't exist yet back in 1967, which have come to fruition, which exist today. One of these things was the popularization of the hand signal over the right eye, or some people do it over the left eye, or in the Sia video you'll see done over both eyes. Just to let people know, it's not necessarily an evil symbol. Patrick McGoohan pretty much invented the popularization of the symbol on his TV show The Prisoner. And for those that don't know, Patrick McGoohan was a Christian. He was a very humble, down-to-earth, private Christian that didn't boast of his Christianity. He didn't go around boasting and bragging about it. He didn't go around putting people down who weren't Christians. He was such a low-key Christian that he let his actions speak louder than his words. He let people judge him based on his character, the content of his character. Patrick McGoohan was offered the role of James Bond. That's right, Patrick McGoohan was the first choice and offered the role of a James Bond. I can't remember which one. He was probably after Sean Connery. And Patrick McGoohan said, "No thanks." And he said, "Nope, I'm not going to do it." And when they asked him, "Whoa, nobody turns down this big role. Why would you turn this down?" I don't have the exact quote, but Patrick McGoohan basically said, "I'm not a fan of the script. There's too much promiscuity. There's too much drinking of alcohol, but more specifically, there's too much sleeping around with women. And that's not something I would do in my personal life. I don't want people to get confused between myself and this character, which goes against my personal principles." That was Patrick McGoohan back in the late 60s, early 70s. And I gotta hand it to him. Hats off to Patrick McGoohan, who has since passed on. Rest in peace. I'm a huge fan of Patrick McGoohan. I've collected a lot of his things over the years. I have the DVD set of the Prisoner TV show. Before Patrick McGoohan passed away, I actually dressed up as Patrick McGoohan, as number 6, for Halloween. That's how big of a fan I am of Patrick McGoohan and The Prisoner. So Patrick McGoohan's number on the show was number 6. And he always used this 6 hand signal. As I described, he was a Christian. So perhaps he was letting us know of a connection between this hand signal, number 6, and not the extremely obvious 666, but perhaps it goes deeper than that. You'll notice a lot of these people just point to that 666 thing. First of all, it has nothing to do with 666 necessarily, but Drake and his new album, Views from the Sixth, and he's using this signal and he's putting an eyeball in between it, Views from the Sixth. Now what is Drake talking about? I suspect he's talking about the 6th dimension. Nobody uses the word 6th unless they're talking about a Beethoven symphony or unless they're talking about 6th dimension. In my opinion, it is 6th dimension. Now what could Drake be meaning? Why would he use this? You look at his Twitter today and it has a 6 next to some hands that look like they're praying. He wants people to have the impression that he's still a religious and a good guy. 6th could be 6th dimension. A lot of people are going to say, "Ooh, 6th dimension must be the evil dimension of demons and this and that." It's possible. It's possible. But I've said for many years that the 5th dimension is most likely the dimension negative entities reside on. So the 6th would actually be more vibrationally, spiritually evolved than fifth dimensional entities. Just to recap, we are on the 3rd/4th dimension right now. And so anything above us is going to be 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. I've been talking about these dimensions for a while now. I'm going to do a full episode on dimensions, break it down. Obviously, it's of a limited understanding, but many people have asked about it. They said, oh, what are these membranes you're talking about? What are these different layers? Well, if you read quantum physics books by Michio Kaku, you will see at least a little glimpse, mathematically speaking, onto what the string theory, this membrane theory is all about. They don't know how many dimensions there are, but they know there are at least 10 or 12. Who knows how many there are, but I like to focus on the 5th, 6th, 7th, and pretty much not ever go beyond that. Drake is really repping this 6th dimension thing, whether he knows it or not. Perhaps Drake had a dream one night, and he left his body and went into an astral realm, got some ideas for some good music. That may seem far-fetched, but it's something Led Zeppelin did, and it's something Carlos Santana does, and it's something many successful musicians have done. Try to tap into this ethereal astral realm, this twilight realm, this realm between the dimensions or in the higher dimensions. You don't necessarily have to go out of body consciously. Some people can do this while they're sleeping. It's called lucid dreaming. Now, some will interpret it as a dream, some will interpret it as an actual dimension, even more vivid than this dimension. Joe Rogan will say it's probably real, but obviously he can't prove it. But he has used drugs to induce this breaking into the higher dimensions. And Joe Rogan describes them very interestingly. Just last week, Joe Rogan said to one of his guests, this dimension is kind of like an empty room where third dimensional objects are all connected. There's a lot of angles and shapes. There are a lot of fractal angles taking place. It's almost impossible to describe, but Joe Rogan does a good job at trying to describe it, where all third dimensional objects are connected and there's no space in between them, and you can go left for infinity, right for infinity, up and down for infinity, which reminds me of 3Pac. Before 3Pac passed away, 3Pac said this.
See, in order for me to get what I want in this universe, I gotta connect with the divine spirit up above and down below and side to side, because I'm connected with everything. Everything is me. You are looking at yourself, talking to yourself right now, because you are me and I am you. Right here, third eye. My third eye is open. You gotta open that third eye so you can think for yourself. New age has begun, because we're headed into a new dimension. 3D is coming to an end. We're headed to the next dimension. Now everyone's gonna make it.
I'm a big fan of 3Pac. He was a satirical YouTuber that I extremely admired, even though I didn't agree with all of his messages. I am a big fan of 3Pac. Rest in peace, 3Pac. So, is Drake talking about the 6th dimension? I believe he is. I'm making this video before anyone else does because I'm the biggest fan of The Prisoner, and I want people to at least see the perspective through the TV show The Prisoner. Watch that show, internalize it. I'm not joking. It's the best show in the world. The remake pales in comparison. The remake I'm not a fan of, to be honest, because the original 1967 version, there are 17 episodes. Each episode is 1 hour long. So there's 17 hours of this show. It's the best series. It's the best show you'll ever watch in your entire life. It blows the X-Files out of the water. It blows any sci-fi, any spy, any bizarre show you've ever seen out of the water. It talks about shadow governments. It talks about cloning. It talks about brainwashing. It talks about many subjects which are coming true today. Some are already true. It uses cordless phones before cordless phones existed. That's just scratching the surface on some of the things you'll see in The Prisoner. As far as Drake's album, Views from the Sixth, I'm looking forward to hearing it. I seriously doubt there are going to be too many obvious things dropped. Hip-hop is about just talking about things, making them sound good. It's poetry with music, with beats, and you're not always going to get a direct answer, but I will definitely listen to every track, try to find any hints at this sixth dimension, any hints at Drake having gone there, and I wouldn't be surprised if he does describe in one song or two, vaguely here or there, perhaps an entity he contacted in one of these higher dimensions, or perhaps one of these entities contacted him. Some of these entities seem to want to contact famous people, or perhaps some of these people are chosen and they become famous because of their contact with these entities. But regular, non-famous people can contact these entities as well. I do not recommend it, because you do not know what their name is, you do not know what their actual face looks like, you don't know anything about these entities. They're the most trickster, shapeshifter entities you will ever know, if you ever want to delve into their realm, which I do not recommend. But then again, sometimes we have no choice and we go to sleep and we're sprung into this other world. We wake up and we don't remember all of it. If it's extremely vivid, extremely lucid, and it seems more real than this world, it's a possibility you did have an experience. I will talk about this in future episodes. I thank you for watching. This has been John Rasmus with Occult Unmasked. Be seeing you.